Pebbles or Shay,
Yes.
or any of the lectures or sessions, has anything been uploaded yet somewhere?
We will begin the
Okay.
process.
Okay, and I just wondering because I couldn't find it, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we have been back to back on many
Yes,
lectures.
yes, no worries. Thank you.
So I think after this afternoon, we have the time to sit down to start uploading some stuff. Yeah,
Cool, thank you.
no problem.
How do you feel today, Pebbles?
You're great. Thanks for asking. It's nice that people are starting to speak up. I like that. This Zoom thing is so cold. I wish, of course, even if it's not the pandemics, it would have been nice to give a 5 until everyone is close enough that we can give each other a hug. But till then, we have to seem like the most warm person we can in front of the square. We try our best. And how are you guys? It's been an intense week, huh? Yeah. Is it stressful or is it fine?
A bit of both for me, I would say. I think this session with Shay was really awesome.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, more good stuff to come. But don't be stressed. It's going to be actually work out quite fine. You guys are amazing. Okay. Hi, Marianne. I see that you're here. The expert is here to watch my talk. Marianne will be on the, you're muted. I can't hear you. Yeah. He's going to be on the open panel. He's
Yeah, I muted myself not to disturb your conversation.
Sure. Yeah. He will be on the open panel discussion, and he is the veteran of storytelling world. So let's see. I will try to sound smart here.
Oh no,
Nah,
I just joined in about 2 minutes ago, so I haven't been monitoring you too closely.
I haven't started. So
all right.
So just having their toilet break.
So I'm gonna start surveilling right now.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll try my best as always.
Right.
Okay, so
As
with
always.
time, is everyone back? I'm gonna rock and roll anyways. So as always, I'm not a TED Talk speaker, and I don't intend to be. I'm here to be with you as real as I can, as a human. And I would just more or less kind of share with you a journey I have taken thus far of who am I, and also why should you even care that I exist. So I'm here to actually kind of basically, I don't know, share a bit of my inner world, I guess. And in that sense, I shall begin. Who am I? So my answer to you is, why should I be me? And I think this is the journey of like a lot of people are taking. You know, I see that there are a lot of identity workshops. There are a lot of kind of questioning at every phase of our lives. You know, it doesn't matter. It was like 10 years, 1 year ago, even yesterday. And for me is that my discovery, and actually I stole this line from a friend that I recently hung out with, because we have been changing names, changing identities, changing the way we work, the way we live, how we think so constantly, that who am I is no longer relevant. And the question is like, why should we still be questioning and asking that all the time? Aren't you tired of it? I am tired of it. So for me, my question, the other question to who am I is, why should I be me? And in that sense, when I kind of let go on self or identity, that is when I actually break free from the things I do and also the projects I work on. I don't define, like if, you know, I used to be, I mean, first of all, I think a lot of people don't even get to know Shai and I very much. We are just kind of like facilitating in and out. And you must be wondering, like, who are these people? You know, like it's been almost a week and you know nothing about us. So then I can say that, like, maybe in the sense that we are very detached, at least for me, I'm very detached of self. So there is not much I would like usually to tell people the things I do or who am I. So to begin with, there are a little journey that I've taken. I'm from Singapore originally. I moved to Sweden 10 years ago. Prior to going to Hyper, I was, so what I do are many things. My background, perhaps like 15 to 20 years ago, I have immortal Asian genes. So I have lived a long time, not long enough yet, but I think long enough to experience a different landscape of things I like to do. So I was in advertising industry 15 years ago as an art/creative director, through the line from TV commercial, like print, radio, online, digital, immersive events, you name it. So the idea is like I conceptualize and write scripts for TVC. And I'm going to do more like, I can show you the stuff that I kind of did. Like, you see, I'm going to go freestyle. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Do you see that is now the web tab?
Not yet.
Right. So you only still see my keynotes.
Yeah, like the unopened keynote.
So I'm going to share my Chrome screen, freestyle a bit. So during my advertising days, we can be doing things like, you know, cloth roll, you know, as what they say, washing powder, softener. But it was kind of fun. At least when I used to like Toy Story, this is the kind of thing. This is, you can see, right? The stuff we do, and then we write script for animated characters. And this is for Thai Vietnamese market. It's all dubbed in Thai. It was for the Southeast Asian market. So since 17 years old, I was like very into Toy Story, so I was kind of happy that we get to do like script writing for animated characters. I didn't build the characters, but basically like we have to come up with different scripts for the animated characters. Like Andy, he's a rock star and he married, got a wife, he's made of denim, and his wife is flowery. You know, everywhere he runs, the paparazzi catches him because he's so fragrant, etc. These are the kind of stuff we do during advertising days. And we have like Motorola days before iPhone, if you can see. Can you see this screen? I don't know, sometimes this Zoom thing.
Still the comfort thing now.
Okay. So this one, when I was working with Motorola, this was quite early 2000, you know, everything was quite still kind of analog. So the street arts were quite kind of in that at that point of time. So less digital, more going to the streets. So we invited like or commissioned street artists to do like this kind of anamorphic street chalk.
You stopped sharing.
Sorry?
You
don't
stopped
see?
sharing.
Ah, okay. I'm not sharing. Is this seen? Are you seeing this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of street artwork that we will be doing for Motorola, like the Razr 2 phone, that was before iPhone days, and like how to use the super razor sharp phone to cut the pavement of the street and reveal this jaded corporate people that's hiding in the basement of the corporate world. So it's a bit of like a Kafka idea with street artists. And that was kind of like the guerrilla stunts that was out in the streets of Barcelona. And that was kind of also 15 years ago. So stuff like this was what I do before. And as I was in advertising, then of course, I'm kind of tired with this commercial world. It was kind of fun, but yet, you know, it didn't kind of satiate my life, creative soul. So here, now, then I become a visual director and visual and creative producer. I was doing like music video for bands and art housey weird shit that nobody understands. Because after being in advertising, like this is what I like to do. I can send you all my big music video. This is not the time to show you too much of my work. And I was a visual artist, or I am as well on the side. I do kind of like live visuals for underground parties, or I played at Red Bull Music Academy at some music festival for live visuals. But I completely look like I'm surfing the internet, like on the stage. So I do not have any stands. But I can show you one example, a quick one, of what I have done. So you can see these are my Vimeo if you'd like to check out. But I can show one example of the weird shit I like to do. All these are video montage. I don't create the film myself, but it's from like experimental film from 2017s or not. It's for underground party.
To understand what goes on inside a watch, let's make a simple device that will keep time.
And I'm pretty sure Carolyn knows this very well. So, and this is just a snippet of my 6 hours live visual set that I could not get to go to the toilet from. And usually I can just stand there and mix visual slides and based on a narrative or a theme. So the theme of the party is time traveler. So I would collect footages from like 20s all the way to now, but I usually prefer like old experimental films that kind of have some kind of raw touch and very not perfect. So a lot of narratives can be built without it being very shiny, spanking, and very, you know, like what you guys like to do now with the CGI. Of course, that's great, but that's not my style. And so today, like I'm actually also the program director of NUNC, and we do immersive learning that we actually do assembly that have a theme as well. And the theme was what the machines dream of, and also that's on reality. And the question here is like, why and what is wrong with our reality? And we get speakers that are from all over the world, like philosophers, scientists, artists to discuss, and even VR, AR builders, designers, and we sit down and discuss what is reality. And the next one is actually power, of which I will share with you guys later, that your work, the next assembly or festival will come early February. And we would like to feature and showcase you guys' work at the next NUNC Assembly Festival because the theme is on power. So coming to design fiction, like I want to share with you, I will share with you what NUNC does later, but today is more important. I want to design fiction is about. You can see the screen, right? Yes, so I know. I always feel like talking to a void. Yeah. So my particular interest of designing narratives is this state, the in-between state. I think a lot of time when we question dream and reality, you know, what is that? What is dream? What is reality? But this is the most interesting part, when you cannot no longer define what that state is. And just a very basic and fundamental structure of what design fiction is. Storytelling, I will use Aristotle, Lagos, and Pathos. Storytelling framework, I will share with you more. First, to me, is like, of course, the logic of the argument. You need to understand what are you trying to define in the argument. Whatever story you're building, what are you trying to say? What is your reason? And also, what is the emotion of the argument? Are you defending something that you're passionate about? Are you trying to celebrate a beautiful feeling or moving emotion or love story? Or what is, or sorrow that nobody has ever gotten to see that side of you? I mean, there is a lot of things that you have to put into the narrative. And I would suggest that to take I out of the equation and think of what is the emotion that you want to create. Because the honest truth is nobody really actually care about you. You know, as much as we like to think we are so important in this world, quote Rick and Morty, like the universe doesn't give a shit about you. So in that sense, why are we creating? So if we want to make people listen, the idea is to get into their heads. Why should they listen to me? You know, and I think detaching the earlier part of what I'm trying to say is that when you're able to detach yourself from your self-identity, that is when you're able to kind of take on a certain idea or role to achieve the outcome, which is the emotion you want to evoke. So I would say very much designing emotion would be key. That is at least for me. What is the emotion you want to evoke? So that is the story. And what is the world that you're going to contain this story in? I mean, the world is huge. It's larger than even what we can see outside a window. The world also exists internally in our minds that nobody can actually see that. So to design a world both visually and emotively or emotionally, it takes something else to kind of give a framework of how you can invite people to be in that world with you. Because like as much as if you sit at a coffee table, like someone can say the best story. Oh, last night I dreamt of this. Oh, it gave me the best feeling of oh, my childhood dad, and but that is people's story. Sometimes I look at someone who wakes up and tell me their story, and I'm like, why are you telling me? This is your dream. It's not my dream. Why is your dream interesting for me? So designing a world or a story to put people in that world, you have to think, why should they be interested? Because that is the part of detaching yourself and think of us and them, and then put the us and them together as like this kind of molecule together. And in terms of that world, now you kind of invite them into this world with you, fuse together. We can talk about the ethical stance. So what is the rule in that world? Is there, if like we say that we want this world that every animal will fly around and have a voice. So, but what are you trying to say? Okay, it's a beautiful dreamy state of flying animals. Everyone can speak to one another now, and all the pigs will be talking to the chickens. But why? Does it matter? Is it so important they have a voice? So you have to question, like, is it because that in this voiceless state they are in an unequal world, that by giving them a voice, we are now able to tap into the other being's mentality. But if this world that every being can speak, it will be a very noisy world. So you have to understand, why are you giving this setting and what kind of rules you are supposed to design in that world. Like maybe it's about, okay, no animals can talk after 9 because then humans can sleep, or humans should shut up so for like 3 hours so we can listen to what the chickens want today. Why? So this is the reason, like we need to understand empathy, sympathy, and also like kind of like a rule that you want to design in this world. A very, very basic storytelling framework. You need to have a plot, of course, character. Who are these people? Why do they even exist? I mean, plot is number one because like there's no story without a plot. And you have to understand your intention when you set up a story. And your intention has to be, again, what is the emotion you're going to evoke at the end of it? And the characters, why do they exist in this world? What is their role? And if there is a big main character to follow, or they are just little characters that appear just to spice up, to illustrate or highlight a certain message, that the main characters might not be able to do that. And you have to define all these characters. And theme. So in this case, thus far, you have already had 4 days of very intense lectures on the narrative of power. So that's the question now, like you are going to start writing your story. You're going to start going back to your team and project mates to discuss, like, okay, now we know the theme is power. And in this case, like, how would you kind of put it in a way that people will understand your narrative? Is it performative? Is it through writing? Is it through film? Is it through animation? Like, but the theme is already there, which is how we have already kind of set it up for you. And now you have to start thinking of building your narrative. So diction is basically kind of like the wording, or the tonality, if I would like to further or paraphrase it. What is your tonality in the way you want to set your story? Are you serious? Are you comedic? Or are you going to be very satirical? you make fun and you mock at the world, in the sense of like, you can do a mockumentary if you like, a mini series of mockumentaries. You can be a stand-up comedian behind your little screen and do like interesting stuff, which performative workshop will be actually kind of up next tomorrow, because this is our struggle and yet this is our opportunity because of the pandemic state. Like we are kind of stuck behind this box. So you are now the puppet. Have you seen the Indonesian puppetry? You know, so now you are the puppet in that box. So the world is looking at this show through your box, and how can you best give your story behind this box is your challenge. But it's also fun, you know, because this is the opportunity that we are actually kind of turning around how we perceive basically storytelling. But I mean, it doesn't differ so much of watching TV or watching webisode. But I would like to invite you as the performative tool yourself, not just creating films, but your body, your face, your movement, your voice, your eyes is also part of the tool that you are going to create in your story. And melody, you know, the soundscaping. Is it creepy? Is it up tempo? And sound design workshop will come after. So this will be the kind of elements that kind of stage everything for you. And decor, of course, in the original stage design, then are like elements of what happens on the stage or within the set of a film. But in this sense, in your box, you can think, what is your decor? Can this cup be a decor? What does it mean? But maybe my water in this cup means something for everyone. So there are a lot of things that you can think about. And of course, spectacle. Like you have to think of the viewpoint. And to me, is not only you, the people viewing you, and you are viewing outwards. So, based on a true story, or is it? A lot of times we have a lot of movies that we're watching, or people who are saying this is based on a true story. Is this based on a true story? Like, we don't know. Fake news is going around. All the filmmakers, all the authors always like to begin with based on a true story, for a very simple reason. Because when it's truthful, it feels more captivating. It feels like, that actually happened. But the question is, yeah, did it? Maybe it did, but not fully. So we are going to talk about the in-between truth, because a lot of story, the true story, have a lot of in-between parts that are also made up. And the question here is why? Like, okay, maybe because it's not fun to shoot this scene, this fighting scene next to a rock where it happened, but let's put on a majestic mountain because this will make the fighting scene much more dramatic. I mean, these are aesthetic kind of lives, just to make things a bit more interesting, or maybe changing the ending or changing the plot a little bit might be able to captivate the audience. So the question to you is that when you're designing your story, do you want to be based on the truth, or based on fiction or a lie? And the weight of it kind of matters. I want to ask this. I didn't realize I was not playing the keynote. You were just seeing my work desk. So I'm sure everyone knows Disneyland. A little background. Disneyland opened in 1955, and there was a few years, not too long, after World War II. And also, you know, Great Depression, all that, like that was the buildup of despair. And what happens after despair is that you need to give people hope. So when it's built, the concept is that, okay, like we need to save people by like Disneyland was at that point of time marketed to be the happiest place on earth. And that sounds fucking scary to me. But it was needed because people were, you know, in complete shatters, and parents were like losing job. The kids were going out there for protest, holding signs like "Give my dad a job." So even at that point of time, like I want to discuss a bit on what do you think if Disneyland is a dystopia or utopia? You can quickly write on the chat. And Disneyland, of course, you know this. After Disneyland, the parody of it is Banksy's Disneyland. And the thing is to say that, okay, the world is not a happy place. I'm going to do like a fake theme park to challenge that. And that was kind of like a limited time period of exhibition. But the question here is, which is utopian and which is dystopian? You can share quickly in the chat, like Disneyland, is it a happy place for you? I mean, if you have been there like as a child, it feels different for me. When I entered as a child, when I re-entered as an adult, it was so scary. And all these tunes were like playing in my mind, and I got really very scared. The question is like, why? So there are researchers that actually kind of try to uncover the need for Disneyland is just to keep humans sane, is to check, to make sure our sanity is in check. But at this point of time, like it seems like the world is flipping around. We are living in kind of a dystopian world that everything else seems very fine, very normal. It's no longer abnormal. You know, the world is burning. That's normal. And if the world is good, that is to me scary. I can't see the chat, by the way, but I will see later. So why fiction? Fiction is the lie that helps us understand the truth. Because the world doesn't like the truth. As much as we say, give me truth, I don't want lies, tell me, like we want to know. But when they are presented with the truth, then they get really upset. People most of the time cannot handle the truth. And that's why they love this kind of entertainment via, like, you know, like Trump. You know, he is, to me, fiction because he's just entertainment, but people enjoy watching that because he's entertaining. And it's not because he's truthful, but because he's entertaining. And dystopian sci-fi, how many of you love dystopian sci-fi movies? Just put a yes or on the chat. Why? Can someone just pop in to say, why do you like, if you will say yes? Can you hear me? Or it's just silence?
I think it's good to be scared sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like they warn you about what's going to happen, like if you don't do blah, blah, blah. Like 1984, for example, like it's warning you from what's going to come if you're just like a normal, naive person.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing, it's warning, but before people don't think it's a warning, and now it becomes the truth. So, and also the other thing is that because it's just kind of easier to take, like the world is ending, it's dying. The human race is fucked. But let's not just tell them in this way that we are all going to die, but let's make a movie out of it so that like we can entertain ourselves to death. That like when that day happens, it's like, that is such a grandeur death. Let's explode together. And or that like, or the aliens invasion and this and that. Like, I think it's just nicer to package how and glorify even the ugliest truth. So power of truth and fiction. It is your power today to decide how much of truth you can put within fiction. That is to my challenge to you. How can you, like in the Beta Human Museum, for example, is a make-believe world or a museum. You do have that power to tell a story simply and to tell people a truth that they don't want to hear, but how are you going to create the narrative for people to get into your world? That is that task within your bigger project. And perception is everything. Scientists have research to say that a lot of human minds cannot tell apart fact and fiction. Our mind is always kind of toggling between reality because we perceive whatever that is presented to us. And it's very easy to design perception. And of course, if the evil powers have been designing their intention in politics as a form of entertainment, why are the good people not doing anything? Because we are just here criticizing about, oh, look at them, they are doing all of these. But why not us? And I think this is why this challenge is for you guys to think of like, how are you going to change perception with the humble project you are doing? But to me, it's not humble at all. You have the best opportunity to create that message to change perception in our smallest way, you know? And I mean, we're not going to overthrow the world in few months, but it's a start. So fiction reveals the truth that reality obscures. It's the same note that I kind of just mentioned. And we think about the what if. And what if this, what if that? I mean, what if it's worse? Why do we always imagine that what if is always better? But because our mind like to tell ourselves that like all the mistakes that we have made would have been better if we have done something right before. And I'm sure you have watched Butterfly Effect, you know, like how one person changes a past, it gets more and more fucked up. And does it mean that we don't change? No, but it's more of like just kind of changing even how we perceive the what if. What if Trump didn't win? You know, what if Bernie won? Well, maybe, well, Corona still happens, but at least the world is slightly better. But there are so many things. But the idea of what if is you not only look about future, about alternate histories, is an exercise. Like if you like to do, like, because I have a mini lecture, like we are sharing our time because we realized that we didn't, Shai and I didn't get to kind of have any time with you guys. We have a lot to share and we're trying to jam pack in a half-hour mini lecture that we can do. So pardon us, like I will share all these references later. I'm kind of skimming through, but don't worry, I'm going to share a lot of references with you later. Like the exercise of thinking for yourself, like if you take any historical event, what if Hitler was not the ruler? Could there be some other evil person taking over his job? Who knows? Why do we just decide that Hitler is the only evil person in the world? But there are so many evil people, you know, the position is so open for anyone to claim. It's just because he happened to be that, maybe. Or maybe if he doesn't exist, I mean, the world still could be fucked up in other ways. We don't know. So the exercise is you can just, if you like, just find any historical event and for yourself, write like a little alternate story that if you could alternate the history of humankind, what would have happened if this did not happen, or if that had happened. This is just kind of like a little exercise for yourself. And on reality, what's wrong with our reality? You know, we are designing VR, AR, game design, all of these stuff. The question to ask, what is wrong with our reality? Why do we need all these alternate layers of reality? So this is something that I want you to think of whenever you think of the narrative. Like, instead of starting to write the story or create the narrative of why should we be better human, and in that sense, what's wrong with us as a human? And the moment we trust too much in one fixed idea of reality is the moment we lose it. So do not have a fixed idea of what that is. There are alternate reality gaming projects. There is real life playing. These are references. I urge you to look for the video. Alternate reality gaming is basically started, is a movement, it's not even new, it's way like, you know, more than 15 years or 20 years. It's basically designed for you to live a narrative and imagine that scenario that that is the truth. So World Without Oil is a game of us living as the characters and imagine that now this world has no more oil. So people have to start planting their backyard vegetables, and they have to stop driving their cars and to start cycle. And the project, the organizer was collecting footages from all over the world of how people was to assume a life in the scenario or in that world without oil. So this is fiction living. Like, you are able to actually create a fiction that you are inviting people to come and play the game as themselves, because this is actually a real life action, real life gaming in this alternate reality that you are creating, that one is creating for your audience. And Hello is another one. I love these, but I would love to share more with you, but I can't. Just take notes. I promise to give you the videos later. But understand the concept of alternate reality gaming is just about inviting audience to live an assumed state of life, like, so that they understand what is it like. It could be a world without Google, what happens? Maybe a world without phone, what happens? And think of all this scenario, and this method is called failed state thinking. Like, if this does not work anymore, if it's a failed situation, how does one behave and react and respond to that? So there's immersive theater, which Marianne can share that with you later in the open panel. I won't go into that, but there are like a good example of basically my ultimate inspiration. Sleep No More is a fictional hotel set in New York, Brooklyn. The whole building is a fictional hotel set in the 1920s where murders, crimes happen, and you enter as an audience that if you put on the black mask, you don't know what is the narrative of the story until you follow characters in the building and you uncover the different rooms and you read the books in the library or the bookshelf of a crime scene. So basically you design literally an immersive environment, and the actors just walk around next to you and just you are just immersed in the world that the producer has designed for you. And that's actually what we did for the last year's classes for immersive storytelling. It was a physical exhibition that was in Hyper of a human recalibration lab. And all of them, the classes last year, the project teams have to build a physical experience in an immersive environment so that the invited audience were there to experience more of like an interactive journey. Doesn't mean that now that you have an online platform, think how do you best use this online virtual world to still immerse people in this box, because you are still able to do that with voice. Maybe it's just a screen, but you can record a voice that guide. Someone is drawing over my screen. That's funny. To guide people with voice and all that. So I want to ask you guys, like before, like checking out soon, do you prefer beautiful lies or ugly truth? Please write on the chat. I can't see it, but I will see it in a while. This is something for you to think about. I don't have a right or wrong. It's just more of like an answer to how we basically like to perceive the world and also deal with situation. So the world is a story and you are the stage. I would turn it around. We like to think that we are the story and the world is a stage. But now you are the stage. And what is the story you want to pick from the world? And finally, you don't need to know the ending. In this journey, I hear that you are afraid, that you are confused, uncertain, and or excited and have many interests to discover, but there is never an ending to it. You will continue to be afraid. You will continue to be as nervous and uncertain as we all are, but there is no ending. This is the fun part. If you are living a life with constant ending, it's no longer fun. And finally, you don't need to be you. As how I began my story, that we like to think that who am I? Oh, I'm this, I'm that. But end of the day, you don't need to be you. Be anyone. Go sign up this performance class as somebody else. Go meet someone and shake hands and give yourself another name. Behave and talk differently with a certain group of friends, and then become someone else with another group. See the reaction. This is fun. You know, you can change your name, you can change your tonality, you can change even your personality, the projects you do, because the moment, to me, as opposed to what most majority advisors, mentors would say, oh, be yourself, be who you are. But who knows? Why? Why should you be you? The fun part is not being you. Then you can explore the different facets of truth and fiction about you and us. You don't exist. The ugly truth part was the other slide. And the moment you think you're going to be insane, you're doing all right. Let's get insane together. Thank you.